How to factor a quadratic when the leading coefficient is 1 and when the leading coefficient is not a 1. So what is the leading coefficients? So we have here ax squared plus bx plus c. The number a is the leading coefficient. So make sure that you put whatever the equations, the quadratic equation that you have, make sure you have the x to the second power that need to go first onto the equations. So then you know what is the leading coefficient is. Let's start with the first example. I have x squared plus 7x plus 12 equal to 0. So how do we factor this? So first, we need to find two numbers. So let's call the two numbers. So let's call those two numbers uh, that P and Q. Okay, let's call P and Q. So this P and Q, when you time P and Q together, you need to get a 12. And when you add P and Q, you need to get 7. So that's the trick. So now let's looking around. Let's start with the 12 first. So let's factor out the 12 to see what are the two combinations of P and Q can multiply to a 12. And then we're going to pick the one that uh, adding together to get 7. So let's list here. Let's list 1 times 12 is equal to 12. Okay, what about 2 times 6? Equal to 12. The next number is 3 times 4 equal to 12. And that's all we have because if you it will turn back over if you keep moving on to a 4, then 4 times 3 is the same thing as 3 times 4. So we stop here. So we have three pairs. So one, two, three pairs that factor out from 12. So think about those two numbers need to add up to 7. Okay, so 1 plus 12 or minus 12, it's not going to work. We never get 7 from it. What about 2 and 6? There's no way we can get 7 from it, but we can get it from right here. 3 plus 4 equal to 7. So that are the two numbers that we want. Okay, so now how do we write this in the factor form? That we're going to start with the bracket, okay, equal to 0. Then we want to start with the x. Then whatever the number that we found, we're just going to move it exactly the same. Okay, so right now we have positive 3 and positive 4. So that's mean we're going to put the plus 3 and plus 4. So that is the factors of this quadratic equations. Now if you want to go a step further to solve for x, then you have to set it up like this. So you have to set up where you have two different equations and they both equal to a 0. Then here you have x equal negative 3 and here you have x equal to a negative 4. So you have a factor. So this is what we call the factors right here. Okay, so this is what we call the factors form. Okay. All right, so and then on the bottom, these are the two solutions. Let's move on to example number 2 when the leading coefficient is not 1. So this is the trick that we also learned today. This is the x. So first steps, we need to time. Again, we're going to call P and Q are the two numbers that we want. Okay, that are the solutions. The solutions. So we are looking for P and Q. So we want to have P and Q, P times Q, be equal to 4 times a negative 5. So we want to have the leading coefficients multiply with the C. So we want to have those two. So this equal to a negative 20. And now we're going to factors the negative 20. So, and also keep in mind that we want the P plus Q equal to 8. So let's see what we got. So we factor out the negative 20 to two different numbers, P and Q. So we have 1 um, time negative 20. That's one options. 2 time negative 10. That's another options. And what else we got? 4 time negative 5. So we have, let me put in the bracket. So we have, and what else we got? 5. Let's go back. So that's only three pairs that we have um, for factor out of a negative 20. But we want those two P and Q add in to get an 8, to get this. What are the choices here? 1 plus negative 20, that's not 8. But when we do 8 plus negative 10, number 2 plus negative 10, or it's negative 8, or if we switch it, right, if we switch this to, we got negative 2 plus 10 equal to an 8. So so when you factor it, you have to play around with the negative signs a little bit. So this are the P and Q. So now I'm going to write it in factors form, just like we learned before. We have a bracket, the double bracket like this, and equal to 0. We're going to put the x first. Then we're going to put the the answers that we have that we chose. So we have a minus 2. You have to keep exactly the same, and plus 10. Okay, so after we put it in, we have to divide the number. So again, after you write it in factors, but this is not the final answers. We have to divide this by the leading coefficients. So the leading coefficient here, the leading coefficients is 4. So we have to divide this number by 4. So I'm going to divide this by 4, divide this by 4, not the entire thing, just the number. So what we have here, x, I'm going to simplify 2 over 4 is 1 over 2. Then x. Now I also simplify 10 over 4 is 5 over 2. So that is the factor. Okay, so this is the factor form of. Now, if you want to look prettier, what you can do is you can move the 2 to the x. So you can time 2. So you can have it like this, 2x minus 1, and you can have 2x plus 5 equal to 0. This also the factor form of this equation. So you have two different forms, but the bottom one look prettier without fractions. But to solve for this, you're going to do exactly the same thing. So the solution to this would be, um, so I don't have enough space, so I'm just going to write solutions as x equal to 1 over 2. Just like example number 1, you need to set the x minus a half equal to 0, and then you solve for x, you will get x equal 1 over 2. Then you're going to set x plus 5 over 2 equal to 0. To solve for x, you then get negative 5 over 2.